Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, your one-stop shop for all news West Asia. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I am the head of news for the Cradle, and as usual, I am joined by my colleagues, content creator and writer for the Cradle, Karim Shami, and content creator and social media manager for the Cradle, Sima Itaim. And before we begin this week's episode, as usual, we please want to remind you to leave a like, to share this video, to subscribe to our channel, to find us on our other social media accounts, and above all, to check out our Patreon, where you can become a supporter of the Cradle and help us continue to do the work that we do. So today, as we start this week's recording, the United States has heavily bombed Yemen over the weekend. Peacemaker Donald Trump launched many strikes in the cities of Sana'a, Sada, and Hodeida, hitting civilian infrastructure, hitting residential neighborhoods. As of the latest count, the Yemenis we're talking about 151 casualties. That includes dead and injured. Many women, many children among them. In response, Ansar Allah, the Yemeni armed forces, the Ansar Allah-led Yemeni armed forces have attacked the USS aircraft carrier Harry Truman in the Red Sea twice in 24 hours, launching about 18 cruise missiles, a bunch of ballistic missiles, in retaliation, of course, to the bombing. Why is the U.S. bombing? Well, we don't have to go far. It's because Yemen has reimposed its blockade on the Red Sea, demanding that Israel allow aid into Gaza. At the moment, there are about 10,000 aid trucks waiting to enter Gaza. Israel hasn't allowed a single drop of water, a single food item to enter Gaza for almost, we're closing in on 2 weeks now, if I'm not mistaken. You guys will correct me. So this is, Yemen. We have talked about this topic before. I just want to set the stage here. Yemen truly, possibly the only country on earth, definitely the only Arab country that is actively engaging to stop the genocide in Gaza, to pressure the aggressor, Israel in this case, to allow humanitarian aid in, and by imposing this blockade. And now it's living the consequences of this. A country that has been at war for almost 10 years at this point, destroyed. Many people died, up to 500,000 people dead due to the Saudi-led war, NATO-backed war in Yemen. And now this is a nation that is again rising up and showing everyone, what it means, what the word solidarity means, what the word resistance means, and honestly, what the word humanity means. Because why is nobody else taking any action to stop what's been happening in Gaza? So I want to get you guys' thoughts on what happened this weekend on the U.S., and the UK. Let's not forget the UK as well. UK airplanes have also been bombing Yemen. So, let me know what you guys think. Let's start discussing this.
Well, just to put into perspective, because Karim is our Yemen guy, basically, but I just wanted to put it into perspective for everybody watching, that the U.S. has killed and injured like a total of at least 151 Yemenis in less than 2 days, many of whom are women and children. And according to the Yemeni armed forces, it was 47 strikes in the first night alone across 7 different provinces. And these were described as a series of massacres. And then we had following strikes. They targeted, remember, the Galaxy leadership that they captured back in November 2023. It was my birthday, so that's why I remember.
With the infamous video that I'm sure we'll put right now, the infamous helicopter video.
They targeted the Galaxy leadership, and they targeted a government complex building in Al Jauf, apparently. So, this is, like you said, because they reinstated the ban and because they're refusing. And what is that? It's that we will keep targeting Israeli vessels unless, Israel lets aid in. That's it. That's all they're asking for. And we saw Trump's message. He was threatening. Coinciding with the beginning of the strikes, he announced the beginning of the strikes, and he says, your time is up and we are going to use lethal force. And then, of course, threatening Iran and telling Iran to stop supporting the Houthis, as he calls them, to which, of course, Iran the next day, the IRGC commander-in-chief said, we don't dictate Ansar Allah's policies in Yemen. That's not, But anyway, how it is. This seems to be like they're gearing up for a larger escalation against Iran. And this is Trump, who's supposedly, the peacemaker, as you said, who was supposedly didn't want any wars in the Middle East. But so the U.S. claimed it killed Ansar Allah leaders through these strikes.
Yes.
Even though the health ministry said it was majority women and children. And I mean, who do you believe? Because regional resistance movements don't usually hide their martyrs. They are the opposite of the U.S. and Israel when it comes to casualties. and either concealing or revealing those casualties. Basically, the U.S. says now it's coming down hard on Yemen with full force after having inherited a disastrous policy from the Biden administration. So now that we have Trump's iron fist, and I mean, he's here to change the game, and I don't know what. But so, Mike Waltz is the one who said that they took out leaders. And we've yet to see any sign of that, really. But of course, in his Truth Social post, Trump also falsely claimed that Ansar Allah was holding up international shipping, like as a whole, which we know that's not true at this point.
No, exactly. I want to point out again that Ansar Allah lifted his blockade in January. Right, they lifted the blockade. Shipping had returned. It hadn't returned to normal levels because there was, of course, wariness from Western shipping companies, but it was nowhere near to the levels that it had been for the past year. Karim, can you give us a bit more info of the actual retaliation that Ansar Allah launched, and maybe about the attacks that the U.S. conducted inside the country?
Yeah, what happened was expected. We've said it before, although some of our colleagues such as Sharmeen said that Trump will not do new wars, but I insisted that Trump is willing to bomb any country on behalf of Israel and even put boots on. We've said it previously, and it started. And what happened is that even the United States, they started it. Yeah, they didn't even wait for Ansar Allah to implement what they said. Ansar Allah said that they will start targeting ships or bombing Israel. They didn't do any operation, and the United States are the ones who started it and initiated this. And as they said, it's not one attack. They are willing to make Ansar Allah kneel, and we will see how this will happen. Till now, the Americans said that they targeted 11 drones. They didn't say if they were going to hit the ship or if the drones were going to Israel. And Ansar Allah only released 2 statements that they targeted the USS Truman ship. According to me, if there is no video evidence, as if Ansar Allah did nothing, we need videos. Targeting an American or Israeli ship with 20 missiles is nothing if you don't have like a video or a drone to capture what happened, because nobody will believe Ansar Allah. Everybody will believe the Americans.
Everybody believes CNN.
And or CNN, whatever Trump says. And when Sima was talking about Trump, I remembered when I was young and playing NES, when you have this angry boss who talks weird things and you have to fight him. That's how Trump is acting. And I believe them when they say that they targeted leaders because they don't know anything. And I think what the Israeli came and told them, bomb this, there's leaders there. They believe that they killed leaders. Maybe they killed children. They bombed like a university. They will never know, because in their in the statement that they released is very dangerous for one reason, because me as a normal person who reads and follows somehow what's happening in the region, we know that Iran don't control Ansar Allah. And they said that we bombed 47 locations. We killed almost 150 people as a message to Iran. And Iran and Yemen, okay, they're not. I don't see them even as an ally. The word ally, what we see, what the Americans do to their allies, we don't see Iran doing anything to its allies if they are allies. They are the same people that are in the same page. The page is against Israel, against what's happening in Gaza, against the imperialism. But they are not actually allies. You go target 47 targets, use your warships, allow Ansar Allah to have a solid excuse to bomb your ships and bomb everything Americans in the Red Sea, because you think that you're sending message to Iran. It's so weird. If I am a Iranian politician, I see this, it's dangerous because they don't know anything. An Israeli went there again, told them, look, bomb Yemen as a message for Iran, and they do it. It's like hypnosis. Whatever they tell the Israelis, tell the Americans they are doing, and especially under the leadership of Trump. That's what I am saying. And I think this will continue because Trump thinks that he is stubborn, but the real stubborn people here are the Yemenis, not the Americans. And I think this will continue. Also, the people will pay the price. I think civilians, because there's nothing to bomb again in Yemen. Biden tried, Saudi Arabia tried, UAE tried, Israelis tried, and they are still ongoing. So I think they will use the pressure that Israel used over Hezbollah is to kill civilians.
I think
And
they're
unless Yemen was able to sink a ship or kill American soldiers, it will remain like this.
I mean, they're very brutal strikes, and they're gonna get more brutal. But you said, like, it's strange that this is the U.S. sending a message to Iran. I think it's only sending a message to Iran in the sense that it's showing that they're brutalizing yet another country in the region, because as far as we're concerned, like, Ansarallah is not an Iranian proxy per se, but it's part of this alliance or, axis of resistance.
Idea. I refuse to say it's alliance.
Ideology,
it's
an
alliance.
ideology.
No, I know what you mean. It's this axis.
We thought they were allies, but apparently there's no allies in the region. The only allies are the American allies.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. It's kind of just like getting closer maybe to an escalation against Iran by isolating Iran after everything that's gone down. But yes, it's not like actually like cutting off a limb of Iran as they make it sound. It's just more about, like isolating Iran. And then we have, because I also saw Hebrew media reports that it was the Israelis who convinced Trump to do this. And that now the Israelis are considering their own strikes against Yemen after the US and UK strikes. And then why is that not the same case with Iran, that it would be the Israelis, pressuring the US to strike Iran's nuclear facilities or whatever else, So it's not really about, it's only sending a message to Iran in the sense that we are like escalating in the region and coming after, every member of the so-called axis of resistance, basically.
Yeah, maybe. Allah, we'll see what will happen. And I think also Trump is willing to bomb Iran. And it's nothing. If Netanyahu told him, Yalla, now the turn, we are ready to bomb Iran, he will go bomb Iran. Anybody who thinks or believes that Trump will not do new wars is like delusional. And
anybody who believes a peacemaker, right? Because the attacks yesterday in Sana'a, they were described as an earthquake. They were described like they were hit so hard that the ground shook. And what I wanted to, I think we should get into this discussion about what is Trump expecting to achieve. As far as the idea that it was Israel who pushed them, well, the attack comes like 2 days after Trump dismisses Adam Boehler as a U.S. special hostage envoy to West Asia for daring to talk to Hamas, essentially, right? Because he or his team led direct discussions with Hamas in Doha about releasing U.S. captives that remain in Gaza. And that, well, Israel did not like this. The Israeli lobby in the U.S. really didn't like this. So heavy pressure on the White House to remove Adam Boehler, who has been removed from this post. Went on CNN and said, Hamas are actually pretty nice guys. That was like his death knell, bye-bye. Bye-bye for you. How dare you say such a thing? So the attacks in Yemen, what is Trump going to achieve, right? Because we saw movements. There was, I saw some footage or some images yesterday that there had been a heavy of the refueling planes. The refueling planes have been a lot of movement in the U.S., right? Like they are trying to get them all to a certain location, maybe to mobilize. At the moment, as far as we know, the only aircraft carrier group that remains in the Red Sea is the Harry Truman. Again, the question: what is Trump hoping to achieve? Because Biden started bombing Yemen since January 2024 for 12 months straight. They bombed Yemen hundreds of times with Israel, with the UK, did not stop any of these attacks, did not lift the blockade, did not kill Ansarallah leaders, did not destroy their capabilities to launch cruise missiles. Yemen, a couple of weeks ago, downed the 15th MQ-9 advanced drone from the US, right? At $30 million a pop, we're talking about just with the drones, Yemen has already hurt the US in almost $500 million. They have already given the U.S. a receipt for $500 million just in all of these drones that they have shot down. The Yemenis, in their latest statement, I think this morning, they were talking about that they thwarted another attack, another aerial attack, because they have, shown off their air defenses as well. So Biden doesn't achieve anything in a year of hitting Yemen, the poorest nation in the Arab world, again, coming right out of a horrific war with the Saudis with the help of the U.S. Are we going to see boots on the ground? Are we going to see Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula be I don't know, given strength, like we saw with HTS in Syria? Is Israel going to march on Yemen? What is the actual answer to the Yemen problem? Is there an answer to the Yemen problem besides the obvious, which is let humanitarian aid enter Gaza?
I mean, Karim, you always say it's about propaganda, and Yemen is unaffected by propaganda. And I think that's a big part of it, because there already is Al-Qaeda in Yemen, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think that card is going to work against Ansar Allah. I don't think the spy networks are going to work. I don't think will the boots on the ground? I mean, will they do it? I don't know.
And it's easy, they can do it, but in the provinces that are not under control of Ansar Allah. And we said it before, since I think our second episode, which is not even on YouTube, we said that nobody can do anything to Ansar Allah because they are not like the rest. They are not like Syria. They are starting to rule Yemen under pressure and under the war. They didn't have they didn't rule Yemen and then the war happened. No, they ruled during the war, and everything is underground. So it's very difficult. And there's many videos about how Saudi Arabia used to bomb Yemen, and we have statistics. Even I wrote an article about the statistics. I forgot about it, but I think it was like equivalent to one airstrike on Sana'a every 2 minutes. I will look it up and put it on the screen if I am mistaken. So what happened? It was so very crazy, and still they were like managing to bomb parts near the border with Saudi Arabia, and after a few years they managed to bomb near Jeddah, then Riyadh, then now they reached Israel. So what's happening in Yemen is a myth. But as I said, and to be frank and to give credit to both, Biden, when he started to bomb, they were trying to bomb military facilities. The death toll was very low. They barely killed civilians. They really killed Ansar Allah army man. But now Trump, what he is doing, yes, Esteban, tell me.
No, I was just going to say the Israelis were the only ones that in their attacks that I remember deliberately killed civilians over the past year. Because you're right, the US, UK attacks.
About the Americans. Yeah, now what Trump did in one strike or within 24 hours, he killed more civilians than all what Biden did. So this tells me that the strategy of Trump is terrorizing the Yemenis. Because they know, I don't know how it works. I think Biden, although he was delusional and he have like brain damage or whatever, I'm not kidding. Of course, everybody knows there's something in his brain. But I think he had like consultants and people come, no, Biden, we have to do this. We don't have to do this. But I think, maybe I am mistaken. I think Trump, if he's sitting and he have a call from an Israeli, look, let's do this. I don't think anybody will tell him, no, don't do it or anything. He will do it. Maybe I'm mistaken, but
history shows us otherwise.
That's what's happening, and I think it will remain like this, as I said, until there's an American who dies during this. We'll see the actions, or if they were able to sink an American ship. Till now, Trump, he doesn't care because the United States power is not affected, and I think this is not only a message to Iran. This is a message for Mexico, for Canada,
everyone,
for Greenland, for
exactly.
Everyone. I'm still here and I'm willing to strike. And this is our beautiful army, as he names it.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yes.
No, here's the thing. Because at the height of this illegal war, because that's what it is, it's an illegal war what Biden launched, because it bypassed Congress. It used the 2001 authorization for the use of military force, which is, the post 9/11 and one that just says it allows the president to deploy troops to fight those responsible for the attacks of 9/11. So literally anyone, right? Like anyone can be called that. Anyone can be a target. It comes a few days after Trump lifts restrictions that Biden had put that now allow military commanders abroad to expand their list of targets and launch attacks with even less restrictions than there were before. Even, and to go back to my original point, at the height of the attacks last year, we were hearing from Western military officials from the EU and from the US about how there was absolutely no military solution for Yemen, that the only solution was diplomatic. Tim Lenderking said it. There is no solution. There's the US Special Envoy for Yemen, Tim Lenderking, says there is no military solution. There is no solution at the end of a gun. for Yemen, that we essentially need to sit down. EU commanders from the fleet that was deployed, remember the Operation Prosperity Guardian and Operation Aspides from the EU, they were saying what we saw in the Red Sea against Yemen was unprecedented. U.S. commanders describing it as the biggest naval battle since World War II for the U.S. Navy, about attacks happening, about troops needing to be ready to repel attacks within seconds. They had less than a minute to get ready to go, action stations, whatever, start trying to shoot down. And at the end of the day, Yemen manages to push away EU warships from the region. They are completely overwhelmed. Operation Aspides, they need to leave the region. The USS Roosevelt, the USS Lincoln, I'm pretty sure there was another one too that they pushed away. The name escapes me right now. Essentially, Yemen, despite the war, despite the attacks, despite the conditions of this nation, the blockade, manages to do all of that. So again, the question: what is Trump gonna do that is gonna be any different, right? Like, because is he gonna actually send troops on the ground?
He look, if Trump wants to show his power, and he chose to show it through Yemen, we know there's the Fifth Fleet is responsible for the Red Sea, and there's countries such as Egypt that are responsible. And Biden and his followers were like respecting somehow that, although the constitution of the seas is written, if there's one, it's written by the United States and its Navy. So they can change whatever they want. Now they have only one aircraft carrier. Trump might send two. He might pressure Saudi Arabia and UAE. This is your problem. You have to fix it. You have to help us. We don't know what he can do. And these countries are afraid of him. And if I am Mohammed bin Salman now sitting and seeing what he's doing to Canada, I am afraid. Because if he put tariffs on Saudi Arabia will fail the next day. And it's not Canada. Saudi Arabia has only one thing, and one thing only. Currently now they have two things, which is the petroleum and their exports. And they have Turkey al-Sheikh, the one who gets like dancers and famous people, or the WWE. And now people are saying what's happening inside Saudi Arabia because of this guy. No, I'm not kidding, Esteban. This is
I know.
They have these two
yes,
things.
You're right.
So and both are controlled without even them knowing. They are controlled by United States. If the United States asks any country, don't buy from here, they won't buy it from Saudi Arabia. And China will not care about Saudi Arabia. People will say, China will hump in. Man, if you think China will do anything, go read something.
You're also
go watch anime. And of course, Russia will be happy because Russia will provide more oil for new markets. So nobody will care about Saudi Arabia. So I think if I am Mohammed bin Salman, I will be afraid regarding this. So I don't think they will say no to Trump, especially the Gulf countries. And he has some points. He has some points to do. But the Yemenis, as I said, there's no option unless they go on the boots and go underground and blah, blah, which is nobody will do that. I don't think he will do that. Will go that extreme. And I think if he might go that extreme, he needs more than 4 years. And there will be escalations that will take more than 4 years. He will be gone by then. But of course, what's happening and what will happen benefits only one country, which is Israel. So we'll see what will happen. Maybe bad things will happen, because the scenario that happened against Hezbollah and what happened in Syria is so bad that one can't imagine. Maybe the opposite will happen with Yemen. Maybe Yemen will be able to sink a ship. If any person from Japan to Chile sees live on TV or in a full HD American ship sinking by one of the poorest countries in the world, and they say it like this, then the image of the United States won't be as before, whatever they do.
Inshallah. I just wanted to, because what you said is interesting, that Biden couldn't really rally the Arabs against Yemen, but Trump might be able to, because Trump has different leverage maybe against the Arab states. That's what you're saying. Because also
no. Look. There's something with the Democrats and Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi Arabia. I don't know what is it. Or usually, for instance, Obama, the king of Saudi Arabia, didn't even meet him when he came to Saudi Arabia. But for instance, after a few months, Trump came, and whatever Trump told him, he did. And
Oh my
there's
God,
videos.
the
يعني,
royal welcoming that
I'm
he
not.
got.
It's not speculation. This is the truth. That's what happened. So they love they hate the Democrats, and they love the Republicans. Why? I don't know. Maybe the Republican Party have videos of them doing stuff. I don't know, Seema. But this is the truth. This is the fact.
Anyway,
I,
yeah, no, I
I, I
mean, look, I don't.
I was just gonna say,
Sorry.
I think they hate the Democrats because the Democrats are so good at virtue signaling, right? Pretending that they care so much about human rights, and they remember Biden said it at the start of his term in the campaign.
Yeah, maybe
that, he was
100%.
gonna make the Saudi
yeah.
pariahs. But yes, that was the only thing I wanted to add. Go ahead,
Maybe.
Seema. What were you gonna say?
No, it's just this. There's this funny thing from last year and the year before, actually. I actually posted it on my Instagram. So this guy called Tom Sharp, Sharpe, wrote for The Telegraph on November 10, 2023, an article with the headline, "The Houthis have become a dangerous rogue nation. The U.S. Navy could crush them." And then a year later, in August 2024, the same author, also for The Telegraph, writes an article with the headline, "The Houthis have defeated the U.S. Navy." So, I mean, really, same guy. It's real. Like, look it up. Like, it's real. It's not like
It's right there.
Photoshop. But yeah, I mean, this is the thing is that with Yemenis, I think it's about stubbornness and persistence. Like, Yemen will not stop. That's the point. So the point is not, the Americans measure in a different way. Like, oh, these guys are flip-flops. They can't do anything against our ships. It's more about persistence and stubbornness. You know what I mean? It's about having the capability to enforce that blockade and sticking with that. So, because I was looking in our comments, I'm in social media, and a lot of people are like, oh, good thing bows and arrows don't do anything against our ships. That's how Americans are, like they don't get it. They measure in a completely different way. I get the perspective that if a ship didn't sink and a soldier didn't die, that it doesn't mean anything. But that's not the point. The point is, like, the Yemenis are able to keep going, and they're able to develop themselves, and they're able to keep the blockade in force despite the entire world telling them not to. And there is this tweet also towards like a few months into Al-Aqsa flood by this Yemeni account that follows us actually on Twitter. His name's Muhammad Abdul Malik. And I just want to read it out quickly because I found it very cute, just for like our readers. So he says, "I advise Americans and British people to familiarize themselves with some points about Yemeni fighters before rushing into anything. They don't follow your movies and TV shows at all. They are not bothered by your media or social media distractions. Psychological warfare is useless against them. They are born fighters, no kidding. Their life goal since childhood has been to fight America. Their last will and testament passed down from their ancestors is to liberate Palestine. At the very least, they have 4 to 5 wars of military experience in various terrains. They all have written and recorded their life wills in both audio and video formats. The martyrdom of one of them is a tremendous source of pride for their children, family, village, province, and country. Their poets passionately glorify war more than any love, flirtation, or romance. They all obey their leader, Abdul Malik Badruddin al-Houthi, with obedience. Their only fear is the punishment and wrath of Allah if they fail to support the people of Palestine and backtrack on their support. And lastly, they love death as much as you love life, if not more." So I just found that like a really nice little, portrait for all the Americans who are, talking about how, oh, bows and arrows, you can't do anything, we're going to crush you. Because last year you also said you were going to crush them, and they crushed you in the sea. So
Remember the infamous tweet from like some person on Twitter who was like, Yemen is about to find out why the U.S. doesn't have universal healthcare, like as a threat.
Yeah, I remember.
And it didn't really lead into anything. The final thing about Yemen that I want to ask you guys before we move on, because many other interesting things are still happening in the region, is I think we're all in agreement that the attacks on Yemen are I don't even know if it's a helping hand is the correct term, but it's definitely under the influence of Israel. Like Israel prodding the U.S. To intervene on their behalf, or at the very least set the stage, right, for anything that might come next.
Yeah, because they can't.
Trump, like I said, he just dismissed this person who was talking directly to Hamas about releasing the captives. Trump is the one that even before coming to office exerted enough pressure to reach the ceasefire that we saw in January after Biden failed for a more than a year, deliberately, right? It seemed like Biden was constantly putting his own foot in front of him in order to fail at the ceasefire. If the war in Yemen expands, and if the United States finds itself dragged into yet another West Asia war, is there any possibility in your guys' mind that Trump might turn to Netanyahu and maybe start acting in the same way that we've seen these attempts in Gaza, right, to reach an actual ceasefire, to actually allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, to maybe stop some of the atrocities? I don't know. I wanna get your thoughts on this, on whether it can
All I'll
happen or
say
not.
is,
For me, it's a simple no.
for me, it depends what the U.S. wants from Gaza. That depends what the U.S. wants from Gaza, and it depends what the U.S. wants from the region. Like I don't know.
I mean,
I
it
don't
could
think so,
erupt.
man. They are willing to do whatever Netanyahu says or what the Israeli wants. People have should know that the government and the people of Israel, they need all of Gaza, they need all the Arabs dead, and they need security. If there is Netanyahu or there is no Netanyahu. So, I don't think Trump will do anything except he said something like before he was elected, he's afraid of the image of Israel, and he said you are losing the PR. He might force them to stop for a moment so they can regenerate new propaganda, and then they continue. That's his only concern. That's only
interesting.
concern.
That's interesting because yes, you could see it. You could see it happening as a way to help Israel regain.
He's
some
doing
of the,
it, man. He's smart. They stopped what's happening in the universities. Why? Because they know this is a bad PR for Israel. They are stopping this stuff, and then Netanyahu can continue.
And the warning of with this Columbia University student, the green card holder, who is essentially now facing possibly even terrorism charges. As far
Not
as we
only
know.
that, there's a doctor. There's a I think she's Jordanian. We will put her picture. She was a doctor and she teaches and studies in the United States. She has posts against Israel. They refused to let her enter the United States. And she told them, you need my expertise. I came here because the United States asked for me. And they refused her to enter. So
that's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild.
I don't see it as wild. The United States and Israel are one, and we know this since we are young. But the smart people or smart governments, such as the government of Biden, knew how to twist these facts, and people thought that the United States is a good country, or they are trying to do whatever. But they are, since after the assassination of Kennedy, Israel and the United States are one.
Yeah, and Trump is very Israeli. He's very Israeli under the guise of doing what's best for the U.S.'s interests, but he's extremely Israeli. And he has Israeli signature in everything he does, just like, crushing, like eliminating civilians in Yemen. That's a very Israeli thing to do, I mean, he's very Israeli in everything he does. So anyone who thinks otherwise, I think, is not really reading the picture correctly. Because I think we should move on to Lebanon and Syria.
Indeed. We've covered Yemen pretty thoroughly. We will obviously stay with this. What's happening in Lebanon and Syria is similar to the discussions we've been having about Syria recently, which is, we kind of warned you about what was going to happen. Border clashes again. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong. From what we have seen, or from what I have seen, this started after Syrian security forces, aka Al Qaeda, marched on Hermel, right, in eastern Lebanon, to harass some farmers, try to steal some sheep. The farmers obviously unhappy, and more than unhappy, with the fresh memory of what just happened in Latakia and Tartus with the Alawites, with the massacres. So the farmers opened fire. They killed about 3 of these Syrian security forces. The Syrian Defense Ministry orders attacks on border villages in Lebanon. We saw artillery fire. There were reports that the Lebanese army had started to fire back as well. So why don't you guys bring us up to date about what's happening, and more importantly, what is being said in the media? Because, spoiler alert, Hezbollah is being blamed.
Yeah, of course. No, I just wanted to talk about Lebanon in general because it's being attacked by Israel and HTS right now. And like you said, this is one version of the story, which is that these 3 HTS fighters, if they even deserve to be called fighters, illegally entered Lebanese territory to steal sheep. And then the farm owner shot them and they were killed. And then the Lebanese army, I think the 3rd guy was in hospital and then succumbed to his wounds. And then the Lebanese army returned these 3 bodies to HTS. via the Red Cross. And after that, like the clashes escalated. And like you mentioned, Qatari media, Al Jazeera and the Syrian Ministry of Defense itself and all of Qatar's platforms and of course Turkey. I mean,
everybody except the Cradle.
Everybody is saying that this is the clashes between the Syrian Ministry of Defense and Hezbollah. And this is not Hezbollah. We've talked about this before on the podcast. We've covered it. This is most likely the tribes. So we have now clashes between the Lebanese army and the HTS and the tribes that are this is northeast Lebanon, essentially. But before we get into this more, it's worth mentioning that there's an overall escalation happening in the region. We just talked about Yemen. We have also Gaza and the West Bank, and we have Lebanon. Israel is attacking Lebanon nonstop and expanding its occupation. Its occupation is going, just like in South Syria, its occupation is going beyond just the 5 points that we've discussed. And it's attacked Lebanon over 8 times in the last 48 hours, killing several people. And there was actually, I'll go back to Syria in a minute, but there was a stray bullet, apparently, a bullet incident. A stray bullet coming from Lebanese territory the other day hit a car in Avivim, which is in the Western Galilee. And it appears as though Israel used this pretext to escalate further. And HTS, similarly to Israel, used the 3 killed HTS fighters as a pretext to escalate against Lebanon and put Hezbollah in the spotlight in the media and say that these are, they have their own version of the story, that they were, our men were ambushed by Hezbollah fighters. And I don't know what. Why the hell were you entering Lebanese territory to begin with? And what a coincidence that you have the new Syrian forces attacking northeastern Lebanon once again, and then Israel also from all over attacking and besieging you. And, I mean, these are villages and homes that came under shelling, by the way, but the Qatari and Syrian media portrayed them as Hezbollah positions, and clashes with Hezbollah members and Hezbollah militias. I mean, what does that tell you? By the way, I think around 8 HTS fighters have been killed, and they continue to lie and say they are fighting, in the clashes. They're continuing to lie and say that they are fighting Hezbollah. And I see this as a pretext, I see that HTS and Israel actually are coordinating. They always have been. It's not new. They did when HTS was Jabhat al-Nusra, and they continue until this day. I mean, because I thought Syria wanted to rebuild. Remember all that talk? Oh, you can't expect Syria to do anything against Israel. Syria wants to rebuild. It can't handle wars or confrontations. But, it couldn't even send one Shaheen drone, to Israel or put out an aggressive statement against Israel. But now it's like bombarding the hell out of Lebanon with shells and 107 rockets and whatever else. And 2 statements came out side by side, released minutes apart. Syrian Ministry of Defense, we will take all necessary measures after the dangerous escalation by Hezbollah. Israeli army, we will attack armed terrorists in southern Lebanon and work to eliminate any threat to the state of Israel. I mean, they're like twins practically at this point, as far as I'm concerned. I just wanted to say that we've had several killed by HTS now in Lebanon, including a child. And this is, again, we didn't see any of the HTS's Shaheen drones, towards Israel. We have them totally going in the path of normalization. And still you have people telling you that, they're going to liberate Palestine and I don't know what. But anyway, so what's your opinion with what's happening on the border? And I think this will be nipped in the bud. It's not going to turn into something big. But the point is it has a political dimension to it now, because if they wanted to if it was just skirmishes, they would have kept it at, these guys were killed and this happened, sheep, no sheep, whatever. Yeah. The fact that they are making it like a deliberate, deliberate campaign that we're fighting Hezbollah because Hezbollah, after everything that they've done to us, still hasn't learned its lesson and is messing with Syria. That's kind of the line they're running with. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
Tell me, Karim. Give us your thoughts.
Well, I have an unpopular opinion. I think if you are willing to kill HTS people that come into Lebanon, we have to kill Israelis that come into Lebanon. That's my thoughts, even if the price is high. First. Second, killing HTS members inside Lebanon is more dangerous on Lebanon than killing Israelis. Because killing Israelis, maybe Israel will be mad, they will bomb whatever, but the entity of Lebanon, the idea of Lebanon will not be affected. But killing HTS members in Lebanon, this will provoke many people in Tripoli to start killing Shias. This will provoke many people in Beirut to start killing Shias. And this will provoke many people in Bekaa to start killing Shias. And Lebanon can't afford that. I think Lebanon can afford Israeli bombings more than a new sectarian war. And if you are willing to kill HTS members, you have to be willing to kill Israelis. There is no idea of resistance without killing the main occupiers.
Yeah,
That's my
in
point.
theory, I agree with you 100%. We should all be focused on, confronting Israelis and not each other, because at the end of the day, we don't want to be like the Syrians. The Syrians are busy fighting us, and because they don't want to fight Israel. So
No, Sima, no.
So I agree with you.
I will not go, I will say it as simple as it is. Muhammad Sharia al-Julani rule is to Ahmad, whatever his name is. We don't know even if this is his name.
Mr.
His role is to make problems for Lebanon and Iraq. Now they are doing this in Lebanon, they will do something in Iraq. This is his role. If he doesn't do anything, they will kick him and bring somebody who is willing to do that. That's different.
No, I know. I'm just saying maybe you think it's Hezbollah that's fighting the Syrians, but I don't think so. So in theory, of course, we should be...
Why are Lebanese people, despite who they are willing to kill Syrians who come to the borders and not to kill Israelis? Because we are doing it wrong. We are consumed by the propaganda. That's the difference. That's why Houthis and Yemenis are still fighting till now, and now Hezbollah doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid perspective, but it's two very different sets of conditions.
It is the only true perspective. It's not a valid perspective.
Yeah,
this
I understand.
Sharmeen, Sima.
I'm not Sharmeen.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Sima, we have... What's resistance against what? What's the resistance? What's the axis of resistance? What's Hezbollah?
Resistance is only against Israel. I agree with you. Yes.
If you don't resist, Israel, your occupiers don't exist. I don't care about you. Three Lebanese men inflicting damages to Israeli soldiers inside Lebanon, for me now, is more valuable than the whole Hezbollah with its personnel.
Oh, no, I understand. I just think that you're kind of mixing stuff together. So you're saying you're saying because Hezbollah is not confronting Israel in the south, the tribes are not allowed to kill HTS fighters that come into the border with Syria.
There's other means than killing them. Yeah, you can frighten them. You can Sima, you can fire in the air and no need to kill them. Send bullets to their legs, to their limbs. I want to ask you a question, Sima, and that's it. Do you think if Hezbollah continue to confront Israel in the south and the 60-day stupid thing didn't happen, do you think the Syrians will have balls to do what they did?
Probably not.
Yeah. It's our fault.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying you tied them together, but it's two different borders and two situations. But I get in principle, it makes sense. You're saying, why are you willing to kill these 3 terrorists that came in from Syria, but you're not willing to kill the Israeli...
I didn't say only that. I said killing the 3 Syrians is more dangerous on Lebanon than killing Israelis.
Yeah, I get that.
That's actually what I wanna. That's what I wanna highlight.
Yes.
Because I think that's a very, very important thing that you just brought up, Karim. The sectarian tensions that are always simmering under the surface, and purposefully, right? Like, these are kept alive for a purpose, and the purpose is to keep Lebanon separated, to keep it under crisis. We've been hearing a lot about U.S. Interference lately in the selection process for our officials in Lebanon, in particular for the central bank governor, and among others. What is happening now, I feel, if you take a count into Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine as well, and a bit Iraq, is this continued war. Like, the war didn't stop with the ceasefire in Gaza, right? The fighting stopped, but the war didn't stop. And now we've seen, well, Syria, of course, it is what it is today. Lebanon as well. I think, you guys are being very frank about the role that Hezbollah has now, which is extremely limited.
Nothing.
Indeed. Yemen kind of standing on its own. The big question that remains is the Iraqi resistance, which I feel is going to be next, right? And I think it's very interesting that you bring that up, Karim, because you're right. Now, this ISIS government in Syria can destabilize Lebanon and at the same time can mobilize towards Iraq. Although just last week we saw the Syrian foreign minister, this former Al-Qaeda commander, meeting with the Iraqi foreign minister in Baghdad, talking security. Syria wants Iraq to reopen their shared border, etc. But now look at what's happening in Lebanon, right? Does Iraq want that on its borders? Or
I don't think they need to. I think Karim agrees with me. I don't think they need to do anything against Iraq. I think Iraq is like decapitated. That's what I think.
It's been for a while. You think the Hashed is just essentially a non-entity at this point in regards to
I
the
never
resistance?
believed in Hashed, to be honest. I'm sorry for our Iraqi viewers. I never believed in Hashed. I think there was a very, very small group, less than 1,000 people, that were sending drones to Israel. I don't think it's more than 1,000. I think they are
What was it called? The Islamic resistance in
The
Iraq,
Islamic
right?
the Islam
resistance.
resistance. I think 1,000 maximum existent, because Hashd al-Shabi was for first it was a fatwa by Sistani, which I don't like a lot. Yani, sorry also for our Shia viewers. And he did it only to help maybe the Americans to get rid of their creation that went loose, as COVID, as other stuff they did, as HIV or whatever. So I think that's what happened. And when they are done, they also said that Hashd is now under the Iraqi government. And just yesterday, al-Sudani, which is the prime minister of Iraq, said that, said it to whom? To the minister of defense of the United States. He said all the weapons and every fighter is under the government, Iraqi government, and I will not accept blah blah blah, as they said, say in Lebanon. So I don't think they are anything.
As far as
Hashd
Iraq is
al-Shabi.
concerned, I think what we need to look at is these attempts
But
to liberate
just
the.
let me to continue one thing.
Mhm.
Yesterday, a Syrian journalist who is close to Al-Shara or Al-Julani wrote in an Israeli newspaper. Now we can see it on the video. And he said, we are not willing to fight Israel. Israel is like somehow our friends. The only enemies that we will fight and we are willing to fight are the Shias in Lebanon and the Shias in Iraq. That's so simple. Don't need to like analyze and go far. And we say the things as they are. And maybe people hear us and they say what they are doing, like, talking like this. But this is as they are. This region has been delusional since the 40s. We say it as it is. That's how it is. Unfortunately, that's how it is.
Yeah. They
Indeed.
only want to fight, they only want to fight Alawites and Shiites, basically.
They're a
Sorry,
nation. They're a
not
nation
because these are the people that are willing to fight Israel. That's it. Don't think if there's no Shias in Lebanon, they will do the same. They will try to find some historical shit as they did in Libya. They played the card of tribes. You know what I mean?
Kind of, that's a part of it, but I think it's also pure sectarianism. Like, I think it's also purely because they're Shia. But you're right, a lot of it has to do with them,
No, it depends.
what project they're confronting and all of that. But like, if Israel converted to Shia Islam, maybe they would fight Israel, as that famous meme said. It's possible because they are like, how they talk about the Shia, what they are grave worshippers and infidels and whatever. So it's partially definitely because they're confronting a Zionist project with the capabilities they have, and pure sectarianism, because for them Jews are more acceptable to them than Shias. Ahl al-Kitab, the Jews and Christians, to them, they prefer Jews and Christians over Shias. This is how they think, these people that you're talking about. So
they don't think, Sima, this is what was fed to them through Saudi and Qatari clerics in the mosques that they build. That's what.
I know, but I mean, you have Ibn Taymiyyah is older than the Saudi and Qatari money.
Who knew about him before the UK came and they ruled Saudi Arabia? Nobody knew about him. His books were printed after on, and the Wahhabism was printed after on.
Anyway.
Simple facts.
So Lebanon is under attack. That's just
for instance, what they did in Algeria are like 95% Sunnis, but they found other ways to divide people and to let people come and fight with the French. And we have Palestine. Let's not go far. Palestine is 95% of the Muslims are Sunni, and we have Hamas and we have Fatah. We have the Sunnis that suck the blah 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 for the Israelis, and we have the people that fight Israel. And they will find a way. In Lebanon, the way is Sunni Shia. In Iraq, the way is Sunni Shia. But in other places, it's not Sunni Shia. It's not about Sunni Shia. I want the people to understand it's not about Sunni Shia. It's what the clerics say and what the media say. And in the places, they say 1, 2, 3. And other places, they say 1, 2, 3.
They made it Sunni Shia, but the reality is not Sunni Shia. I get what you mean. Hamas's Qassam brigades are true Islam, as far as I'm concerned. And HTS, Al Jazeera tries to put Qassam brigades and HTS in the same category, which is ridiculous because you have, it's just two completely different ends of the spectrum. But yeah, so Lebanon's under attack by Israel and HTS constantly.
And they will never stop. If I am Israel, I will never stop, because if you zoom out, Egypt stopped, not stopped also. Egypt is now a big and very great, beautiful ally for Israel since the late 70s when they signed the agreement. And Jordan, they were like allies since the 40s, but it went public in the 1994. Okay, and you had Syria. Syria currently is under the rule of Israel, at least south of Syria. So the only entity or the only small border that may affect Israel on its border is Lebanon. They will not stop. They will go the whole way. They will bomb. They will use the Syrians. They will use their Christians. They use whatever politician they need. Even they will use Shia to bomb other Shia to kill. They will never stop. We have to make something for them to stop. If we remain like this, خلاص. Maybe I will seek for refugee. I don't know.
In all honesty,
Agree.
It's because it's what's happening in the south too, right? Like Israel has already expanded its occupation of South Lebanon and is threatening again indefinite. And what Syria. I just wanted to throw in is that there's reports that there's been some sort of discussions or talks between Israel and Lebanon to resolve issues. The Israelis were calling it that is a path to normalizations. The Lebanese were coming straight out saying there's not going to be any normalization. But the truth is in between, right? And the truth is that there have been attempts, but these attempts, just like what we saw in Gaza, that it's, we were going to bomb as much as we want. Plus, we've seen everywhere, right? Like Sharmeen likes to say, Israel is an agreement incapable. Just like the United States. So there's absolutely no reason to think that the situation in Lebanon is going to improve, while at the same time, sovereignty it will be, respected in any form. So
we never have sovereignty.
I think, again, with Lebanon, we'll obviously stay on because this is not going to end anytime soon. Let's finish up discussing very quickly what's happening in Gaza and in the West Bank, where I think at this point, they're almost interchangeable in the siege that both territories are under. Why don't you let us know, Sima? I know you are like Karim is our Yemen expert. You are our Gaza West Bank expert.
I am, but now is not.
She's more expert than me. In
I think this episode was more about everything happening around Palestine and what affects Palestine, and we should, in either the next one or the one after that, really get into what's happening in the West Bank and the silent war on the West Bank and how that's tied to Gaza and how, in some ways, what's happening in Gaza is even a distraction for the West Bank. But I just wanted to say that massacres in Gaza have also escalated. So again, I've talked about this all-round escalation on the entire region. Israel has killed at least 15 people in 2 days in the Gaza Strip. And we are still, I just want to give a very quick rundown because this is what's the most important thing right now. You said that, as you mentioned, the Gaza government media office said that there are 10,000 aid trucks that are being held up by Israel and blocked from entering Gaza. And this is a systematic policy of starvation against the people. This is aside from the 850 fuel and cooking gas trucks. And also there's the electricity and water. And this war hasn't ended, just like it didn't end on Lebanon. It hasn't ended on Gaza, and it's only just beginning on the West Bank. Now, the deal, just to make it clear to people who are confused, Israel and Hamas disagree not only on the number of prisoners exchanged, but they disagree on the withdrawal from the Philadelphia corridor, which is, the border between Egypt and Gaza. And my take is that Hamas is refusing to give up its weapons, and this is what is holding everything up. And they are also refusing to have Qassam leaders permanently exiled from Gaza. So Hamas said that it was resume releasing hostages, captives as we call them, only if the second phase begins, right? During which Israel would be required to discuss withdrawal and a permanent end to the war, which are these major demands by Hamas. And remember, the first 6-week phase of the deal expired on 1 March, on the 1st of this month. So far, Hamas has released 33 captives, 8 of them dead, and Israel around 1,800 Palestinians, many women and children, and they have rearrested already quite a few of them. So Israel insists that moving on to the second phase, which is what Hamas wants, requires the total demilitarization of Gaza. So for me, this is the major holdup. And Netanyahu, is not going to accept to go to phase 2. so long as Hamas is refusing to give up its arms. So Hamas has no problem giving up ruling Gaza politically. I think Hamas gave this up a long, long time ago. It has no problem handing Gaza over to Fatah even. But as an armed wing, like Qassam brigades, they will not give up their weapons. This is the main thing holding up any move, anything going towards the second phase, basically. And
there's been a lot of shakeups too, right, in the Israeli military recently, with this kind of plan to return to war.
Yeah, I mean it's on and off, but yeah, you have this that they're preparing,
Yeah, he's threatening to fire the Shin Bet chief. The army spokesman was replaced. It just seems like a lot of pieces are being moved because Netanyahu wants war. We've said this a million times. He needs this war.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think is next, Karim? What do you think is next, in particular to the West Bank, right? Because now we're also hearing about 900 new gates being installed all across the West Bank to continue, cutting off the area, to continue isolating Palestinians. Where Jenin camp is being described as 100% destroyed. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced. Yet nobody's talking about this.
Yeah, no, but why should they talk about it if the Arab countries are happy of what's happened, and the Israelis are doing whatever they want, and the leader of the free world, Trump, is happy of what's happening.
The peacemaker, Trump.
Nothing will let them stop. Only weapons and killing of their military personnel will let them stop. And this is not happening. To be honest, I'll say it as it is. And you mentioned about normalization. Unfortunately, the Israelis, they are the one that they don't want normalization with Lebanon and Syria. Not we. We don't want. Every politician now appointed, of course, in Lebanon wants normalization, and the media is preparing us for normalization. Like, I don't want to make them more famous. The Lebanese people will know what I'm talking about. Many people that go on the TV shows in Lebanon, they are promoting normalization, but they are stupid enough not to recognize that Israel, they don't want normalization because they will be like they should like act as if they are normalizers. You know what I mean? Yani, for instance, if you make normalization with Lebanon, there will be points that will tell Israel, "Oh, withdraw from Lebanon. We will normalize." Even if our president and prime minister, I'm not talking to the current ones in general, are more Zionist than Israel. No, they will sign about something like this, and they don't want to get out. And the same in Syria. If I am an Israeli, I will never even consider thinking about normalization. I have the whole south of Syria. Why should I normalize? Why should I normalize? And even the Israelis, they don't know where their borders are. They want to expand. If I'm an Israeli, I will be convinced 100% that we are the best people in the history of nations, and we are expanding. We'll go to Al Furas and to Nile. They will never stop. And they will never stop. And the Arabs are helping them. The Arab governments are helping you to expand. Why should you stop?
Indeed.
And people that are fighting you, they are being fought by the people that should be your enemies. Yani Syrians now that control Syria are willing to enter Lebanon and kill all the Hezbollah personnel. Why? Ask them why. I don't have an answer. But they are willing to do that on behalf of Israel. And when you ask about Israel, they will tell you, no, we are against Israel. The same in Iraq. The same in Turkey. Yani the same in Jordan. The same in Egypt. Khalas, why should they stop? We need a miracle. A miracle happened to Israel 3 months ago when they were successful in assassinating Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, and all this happened. The other party also, they need a miracle. So for this to stop, I can't see anything stopping the Israelis except a miracle. From where? From who? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, no, of course. But yeah, I mean, in general, like the West Bank is something that the Cradle should get into more, in more depth in the podcast. Of course, we're covering on our social media for everyone who follows us. But there are martyrs every day. There are abductions every day. Like you said, the gates are increasing. They want to completely remove these camps because these camps are like where the resistance is born, okay, in the West Bank. So they want to completely eliminate these refugee camps and just have like, for example, just have like Jenin, like no Jenin camp. You get what I mean? So we have people who are have lost everything. They still haven't been able to go back home, been under siege for almost 2 months. Thousands, they're in the thousands, people who have been displaced. And no one's talking about it because everyone's so distracted with like Syria and everything else that's happening in the region.
Yemen, etc.
Yeah, and I feel like even Gaza is a distraction, from the West Bank.
Yes.
So we
And
have
now
to
you'll-
be more in depth.
Before we
you know,
close,
they-
now
before we
you'll have
close,
to-
I would just
It's
want to bring
complex.
this up because you just said something interesting, Sima, which is they want to remove them, right? And there was this report last week, and we've been hearing this for a while now, that the idea from Israel and the U.S. is to displace Palestinians to East Africa, and they're talking to Somalia, to Somaliland, and to Sudan about taking in, right? Because first the idea was the Sinai, the Sinai desert, right, in Egypt. Then it was Jordan. Then apparently at some point they even considered Syria, right, after HTS came into power. They're talking to these East African nations. We know that Israel and UAE are deeply involved in this area, in particular in Somaliland, that Trump is considering to give a recognition to Somaliland, apparently maybe even in exchange for taking these Palestinians. Nevertheless, these African nations all have come out and said, no, we are not even considering this. But the plan is still there. The idea is still there for the forced displacement, despite the fact that last week Trump, during a meeting with the Irish Prime Minister, says no one's going to take anyone out of Gaza, right? But then again, this is just like one of the statements that he likes to make, right? In which today he says there's tariffs, tomorrow says there's no tariffs, and then the day after again there's tariffs. Like this man is like the human, the personification of a ping pong table. It just goes back and forth and back and forth. So I just wanted to add that. I wanted to mention that that's still under discussion.
It's under discussion. I personally see that this will fail in the West Bank and Gaza, and anyone can debate me on that, and I'm sure they have some strong points, but I don't see that this is going to be successful. Like, even if the African countries accept it, I don't see that this would be successful. So, people need to understand, like, people who aren't very into Palestine, they need to understand that these refugee camps in Gaza and in the West Bank are full of refugees who were expelled during the Nakba from historic Palestine, which is 1948 Palestine, which is today called Israel. So in case people are wondering why, why resistance even exists, or why it is that they will refuse to leave their land, or why it is that they carry out operations and kill illegal settlers, is because all of these camps, they're not even natively from the West Bank. If we're talking about the camps in the West Bank, they are from the 48. Over 70% of the camps in Gaza, they are from the 48. Okay, so these are not going to accept to live a second Nakba, no matter what happens, like come hell or high water. It won't happen. I don't think the everyday viewer who doesn't know that much knows this about these camps in the West Bank and Gaza, where these people actually were kicked out from and why they have a right to go back to where they were kicked out from. It's very simple. So no, I don't think they will leave. I don't think they will leave. They will be. They
Debate
will
next time
be
because
martyred.
we don't have time now. But already multiple camps are already emptied, Simo. You know that.
Yeah, but I'm saying they won't leave Palestine.
Where did they go?
They didn't leave Palestine. So you're
Okay.
talking about something different now. Yes, they're forcibly
I will not
displaced.
debate you next time.
Yes.
Next time we'll have this debate. And well, we want to thank you all for joining us this week, and to remind you again to leave a like, to share, to subscribe, to follow us on our social media platforms. You can find us on Telegram and on X, and to please check out our Patreon, where you can become a supporter, help us continue, bringing you all of these discussions that are not happening anywhere else in Western media, in English media in particular. For the Cradle News Roundup, my name is Esteban Carrillo. I have been joined by Karim Shami and Sima Itayim.
But you didn't mention Bashar al-Assad killed his people. Okay.
It finishes uploading.
It's always Assad's fault, and it's okay if Syrians kill as long as it's not Assad doing
Yeah,
it.
because Assad did that.
Fine.
Ooh.
Anyway.
Oh my
We
God.
didn't exist in 2011.